All right, good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome you to our Fall 2020 Higher and Post-Secondary Education Applied Project poster session. Thank you all for being here. First, we'd like to, of course, welcome our presenters and our graduate students who will be sharing with you all shortly about some of the work that they've done over the last 15 weeks, although in many cases for many of our students, this represents a longer engagement with the topic, whether it's through their own professional careers or through practicum experiences. But what this culminating project will give you an opportunity to do is to learn a little bit more about the things that they've been able to research and gather data on and share findings related to critical and timely issues within higher and post-secondary education context. I should have started by saying my name is Kia McGuire. I'm an associate professor in the higher and post-secondary education program. My gender pronouns are he, him, and his. Um, and I would also like to acknowledge the ancestral homelands of the Acme, Atham, and Peepash peoples' lands, which we all are working from and learning on. And so I would like to start by simply sharing a little bit about the program and more importantly, where this project fits within that within students' learning experiences. And then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. McIntyre, who will share a little bit more about the floor of the events for today. Again, our higher and post-secondary education program is an opportunity and a learning experience that's really geared to prepare professionals to work in a variety of contexts on college and university campuses. One of the things that has become a core identity of our program has been the process by which we help and work alongside students as they learn ways to gather data, analyze data, all in the service of improving higher education practice and policy wherever they may be located. And so this applied inquiry or applied project, that poster session that you see here today is a culmination of a 15-week exercise or experience. During the first 7.5 weeks, our students have an opportunity to design a project. Of course, these projects are oftentimes very ambitious, and over our 15 weeks, we are able to pare it down into something that is not only manageable, but that will be impactful with the data that they're able to gather. And then in this session B of the semester, students are able to carry out their research project. And we'll get a little bit towards this at the end of the session today when we give some thank yous, but you should know this represents not only the work of our students and the faculty who are in the classroom, but also a number of mentors who sign up to work with students along and help give feedback on their projects as they're being designed and carried out. So we look forward to you all engaging with our students today, asking them questions, learning about their research, and hopefully having a very invigorating conversation. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. McIntyre, who will say a little bit more about how the rest of the afternoon will be spent.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Lisa McIntyre. I am an executive director in the University Provost Office at ASU and teach in the Master in Higher Ed program. The applied project is one of my favorite classes because, as Dr. McGuire said, this is about the topics that the students are most interested in. And so I always learn a lot about topics that I maybe don't get exposure to on a regular basis. So I hope all our guests have that same experience. Our students will be presenting in small breakout rooms of 3 to 4 folks. Dr. McGuire is going to put a link in the chat where you can find the Zoom breakout room link for the individual that you're here to support or the breakout room that you're most interested in. They are grouped by topics. We ask that you mute your microphones. You're all doing a great job of that if you're not the one presenting. We will present in order of the link that Dr. McGuire just shared. There will be a facilitator in the room to just kind of make sure all the technical pieces go right. They will be recorded sessions. We also ask that you hold all your questions until all of the presentations in your breakout room are complete, and then we'll open up that session for questions. We do encourage you to ask questions. These folks are experts on this topic and have spent a lot of time and energy becoming experts. And so this is a great opportunity for them to answer any questions that you might have. Once all the presentations in your breakout room are complete, we ask you to come back to this main session room for us to wrap up the program. So with that, Dr. McGuire, anything I missed or you want to add before we break out?
Nope, that's it. And please reach out to us for any questions that you might have. Dr. McIntyre and I will be moving from room to room. I see that I just got a message in the chat asking, can individuals move from room to room? Yes, as long as you're not a presenter. So all of our guests beyond the students are able to again move as you would like to bounce around to hear different topics of conversation and discussion. Um, and so again, at this time, we'll give folks about 5 to 7 minutes to make your way over to your rooms. For our students who are on the call, again, look at the sheet as well so that you can go to the room that you will be in. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So thank you and welcome all again.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Dante. Having a little difficulties with the slides right now. Hopefully, you guys can see this. If you can, give me a thumbs up or something, so that way I know we're good. Excellent. Thank you. So my research topic that I wanted to go over was explaining the educational barriers within Veterans Upward Bound at Arizona State University. All right. So, Veterans Upward Bound is a free educational program that prepares veterans to improve academic skills, along with that transition into higher education. And upon enrollment into Veterans Upward Bound, veterans receive online instruction, tutoring, assistance with financial aid and scholarships. And we also help them out as well with applying for schools, how to apply, just step for step on getting them into a higher education space. Veterans Upward Bound is a grant funded TRIO program. So it is a part of the Department of Education, but it is housed at Arizona State University. And it has been a part of Arizona State University for over 47 years. So why is this topic important? Well, 500,000 veterans reside within Arizona. Arizona is one of the top 10 states within the United States that has a large population of veterans. And when you look at the demographics of the veterans in Arizona, mental health, homelessness, drug usage, and suicide rates are very, very high amongst veterans within Arizona. So why is it relevant? According to our grant, 40% of VUB participants will complete a post-secondary education program within 6 years of enrollment in VUB. And for the 47 years that we've been a part of Arizona State University, we have never met that grant requirement ever. So I was like, oh, okay, I want to know why that is. So that's why this topic is um, very interesting to myself. I work for Veterans Upward Bound as a coordinator. I've been in this coordinator position for about a year now. Half of my year was due to COVID, so a lot of it was out of the office, but I just wanted to figure out some findings to improve on our program and hopefully share my findings with VUB programs all over America. So the purpose for this research was to find out what barriers prevent ASU VUB participants from pursuing an undergrad or associate's degree. So my research, I used qualitative research design. It was used in order to gain a better understanding of each service member's demographics, barriers within the VUB program and higher education space, along with supporting systems of improving on those systems, I should say. So I did randomly select five, I should say, current program participants. I also invited one alumnus of the program to join into the study. Due to COVID, The data was collected via Zoom during one-on-one interviews. And as you can see, these are the interview questions that I asked them. And then based on their answers, this is kind of a small graph of the demographics that I collected for my interviews. So my key findings, one of my key findings that I found out while doing the interviews is that veterans that were student workers on college campuses were more likely to achieve a degree. So out of 2 out of the 6 participants worked on their college campuses. One of the veterans, she was a tutor, or she wasn't a tutor, but she worked in the tutoring center. She worked as a receptionist. She felt like that was very useful to work in the tutoring center because there was tutors at her disposal. So that she expressed that she was more likely to not use the tutoring services, but because she was already there, it was readily available for her to use those tutoring services. Same thing with the other one. The other one is a current advocate for our VUB program. Before joining VUB, he was battling drug addictions. He was also battling things within the criminal justice system. He ended up going to Veterans Court, and Veterans Court gave him ultimatum whether it would be to serve jail time or to engage into one of the veteran programs within the Valley. And one of those programs were being Veterans Upward Bound. So he was able to engage in that program. And from that point, he was able to progress within his higher education. He just completed his bachelor's in social work last semester. He's currently a grad student working on his master's in social work as well. So with that finding, the automatic thing that jumped out to me was Dr. Rendon's validation theory. Through that validation theory, as non-traditional students become more involved on campus life, their self-esteem is enhanced. And I think that's very much true with what I found during the research. So the second thing that I found out while conducting the interviews is that distance learning and financial issues were key barriers amongst VUB participants. During the summer, we were allowed to help our veteran community with paying for EA classes. The EA classes are known as earned admission classes. During the summertime, Arizona State gave a gift to just about any and everybody. They were offering earned admission classes for $99 for a 3-credit class. A lot of our students wanted to engage, and they wanted to jump in there and take advantage of that cost-efficient class. Out of all our participants, I think 17 signed up for an EA summer class, but only I take that back. 16 out of the 17 did not complete their EA class. That was due to the fact that it was online, it was distance learning, they had to learn on their own. And so that lack of accountability falls short. I served in the military for 7 years, along with Frank, and Frank could also validate the statement that if there's lack of accountability, there's no accountability. If there's not somebody there telling you what to do, when to do it, like we were taught in the military, doing it on your own is almost impossible. Another barrier that was big within the whole distance learning and learning on your own and online is the lack of computer literacy. A lot of the veterans in our program are much wiser. I don't like to call them older, I like to call them wiser individuals. And so navigating a computer is very difficult for them. Another big thing, I know Frank was also talking about the GI benefits as well. That's also a big barrier for a lot of our participants because they are first gen and they are low income. Being able to use GI benefits would help out a lot. It helps out with your rent and things of that nature. So if they don't have their GI benefits, everything for them is going to be either out of pocket or they're going to, put in for their FAFSA and hope that they get that Pell Grant, which is very, very likely. But because they don't have GI benefits. A lot of them don't have GI benefits. They're not going to be going back to school, and they're not going to be trying to push for a higher education degree. The last finding that I found as well is that mental health was the biggest barrier amongst all participants that I interviewed. Every single one of them said that they were affected by COVID in a negative way. They had low motivation, low creativity, going through depression, anxiety level was high. And that can also lead to possible suicidal gestures. I know that one of our participants, we talk very regularly because we're Dodger fans and we're from LA, both California people. His hometown is right next to my base when I was in California, and we talk very regularly. And I know seeing him recently on a Zoom call when we did our interview, he looked very, very, very sick, like almost lifeless in a way. And he said that COVID was really, really taking a tamper on him mentally, physically, and emotionally. So this was by far the biggest barrier amongst all participants that I had interviewed for this finding. So I label mine as implementations because this is something I'm hoping to implement within our workspace. I also want to push this out to all of the other VUBs across America, so that way maybe they could tag along with this and we can help our veteran community that's needing it very, very, very desperately. First thing would be creating VUB classrooms. My idea about this is just um, creating that validation. Um, a lot of the veterans, they go into a college classroom space, and they're usually older, usually have dependents and things like that. All the things that were mentioned earlier. But if we're able to create a VUB classroom, controlled classroom amongst our participants, I think that we'll get the most out of it. Um, give them homework assignments, um, have them stand in front of the group and present something. Just give them that feel so that way once they enter a higher education space, it's not really foreign to them. I think another big thing would be also is to partner with Luke Air Force Base TAPS program and also the Arizona National Guard, their education center. So that way we're able to bridge the gap from them transitioning out of the military into civilian life. Because one thing, if you're not familiar with it or not, me and Frank, we had to go through almost a year's worth of training to get ourselves from civilian mentality into military. You're beaten to military, military. It's all about team, military life, 100%. And as you're in there, all you know is military. And as you're going through autonomy and you're going through those developmental phases of your life, all you know is military. And then the next thing you know, when you're ready to phase out of the military back into civilian life, it's like a 2 week thing. So you spend a whole year transitioning into the military, and then maybe a week or 2 weeks or so transitioning out of the military. So for us, I think partnering with those organizations and bridging that gap will help with the transition from military into civilian. When I'm thinking about that mental health aspect, I think working with partners, research resources. I take that back. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. For the mental health, I think partnering with military resources within the Valley will be very helpful for us. I know like Military One Source, Be Connected, Veterans Crisis Hotline, things like that. Having them come in and host a workshop for us and, bridge that gap of, letting our veteran population know that, hey, mental health is a thing. Letting them know that it's okay to seek help and things like that, and try to build community around that. So we're getting them the most help that they can get, I think will be very, very useful for our program. And then lastly, I learned so much interviewing our VUB participants. I think interviewing more VUB participants will learn more. We're able to gauge more, and we're able to improve on our program more. So yeah, so with that, that concludes my presentation. I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for sharing the space with me at this time. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. So Thank you for that, Jordan. So I have to say, this is my first time participating in a virtual poster session, and that felt like a whirlwind, but in a good way. So thank you all for your presentations. Both Dr. McIntyre and I had an opportunity to hop around from room to room. I'm actually going to stop talking and turn over to Dr. McIntyre, and I'll say a little bit more to close us out at the end.
All right. I just wanted to congratulate all of you. You should be very proud of what you did. I know this semester was like none other. Just like Dr. McGuire, that was my first virtual poster session. And I just want to commend you all on your resilience and determination in making it work. We had all kinds of fun challenges to work through, and we all did it and had great communication. And I think you all, just the potential is limitless for all of you. So I wish you all the best of luck. I hope to hear updates from you all where your careers take you, and um, always here as a resource for you all. So I see all the applause and celebrations going up. It might be a bit much to unmute and do a round of applause, but want to thank all the guests, family members who were able to join us today. That is one of the great things about our virtual opportunity, is that I think we might have been able to expand our audience a bit more. We will be sharing recordings with the students. So if you weren't able to have a guest join us today, please share it with them. There's no way any of us would have made it through this program without all the support of our family and friends. And I also want to thank our colleagues. So every student in this part of the project has access to a professional mentor who's met with them multiple times throughout the semester and giving them feedback and encouragement. And so thank you all for doing that for our students. It really was great to see the feedback and insights, and having that other perspective to bounce ideas around was really helpful and benefited the work. So all right. Well, I'll stop gushing. Dr. McGuire, what did you have?
Yeah, so just one more thank you before we move on, which is to Jody and her team, who have handled all the logistical um, responsibilities for today, is setting up the virtual rooms, making sure that all the Zoom links work, and making sure that we have facilitators in each room. So thank you to Jody, Ashley, Pinnock, Liam, Caitlin, for your support and making sure that this program went off without any hiccups. So thank you all very much for making this easy for Dr. McIntyre and myself. I also would just like to echo Dr. McIntyre and thank our mentors. Usually we have like mentors and program instructors like raise their hand. I think there's a reaction to do that. So if you know how to raise your hand or put a thumbs up, maybe if you want to put a thumbs up, how about that? So that we can acknowledge all of our mentors and program faculty who teach and work alongside our students throughout the program. Your support is sincerely and deeply appreciated. As you all know, I think one of the biggest strengths of our program is that we have meaningful and long-lasting relationships with individuals who are educators and scholars working both at ASU, but also across the Valley, and sometimes as well as in other states. And so we appreciate the support that you provide, and the mentorship, and the learning that you, or the way that you help to expand the learning of our students in our program. So thank you very much for that. And most importantly, I want to say congratulations and thank you to our students. I'm sure it cannot go overstated, I think, how unique this semester has been. And you all continue to approach the project and your capstone experience with enthusiasm, with a level of dedication, a level of flexibility and creativity that I think I was just excited to see, and gave me also energy as I entered and worked with you all over the last 7.5 weeks. And so I know very few things feel like it's normal as far as celebrating things in this particular context, but we do hope that you will find time to honor this moment in some way, to reflect back on all of the hard work that you've accomplished over your time in the program. and that you are able to enjoy at least a moment of reprieve with family and friends and colleagues, because what you have accomplished, not only today and throughout the semester, but over the program, is definitely worth celebrating. And it's been our pleasure to be on this journey alongside of you. So there's just two more things before we wrap up. So first one is kind of an announcement of sorts, which is at the very end, we'll ask all mentors, program faculty, and students to stay on the call so that we can take a photo. We may have to take multiple photos. I actually don't know how this works, taking photos in Zoom, but Jody will be here to assist us with that. Um, and also every semester during the capstone experience, we have an opportunity to recognize a student, one of your colleagues and peers, who is nominated by program faculty as a recognition for their achievement and contributions, both inside and outside of the classroom, to the higher and post-secondary education program. And so this year we'll have an opportunity to do the same. And what I'm going to do is just share very briefly what one nominator said about this particular student before I announce who the student is. And again, we and Lindsay, Dr. Dipple, who is on the call, normally does this part and does it much more eloquently than I do as I fumble through this process. But it's really an opportunity for us to recognize a peer who has made significant contributions, who has also impressed upon faculty with their dedication, not simply in this course, but throughout the program, and is therefore worthy of the nomination. We usually will hand you a piece of paper or a certificate of an award framed. We will have to connect after this in order to pass that along to you. But one nominator said about this student, that this student is extremely engaged. They also demonstrate a high level of intellectual curiosity. And they also not only work well with students, but embrace collaboration. And that this student in particular deserves recognition for their outstanding contributions that they made to the learning environment within and across classrooms. And so without further ado, that student is Dakota Weber. So let's give Dakota a round of applause. And also, Dakota, congratulations. I know you didn't know this was happening. You and I can connect after to make sure that you get your certificate and award. But again, congratulations, and for an award that's well deserved. Okay. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we're going to stop there. Again, thank you for everyone who came and visited with us. We'll ask for the students and program faculty and mentors to stay on so that we can get one picture, and we'll share that out with everyone as well.